I was not. I was not going to. I was going to leave that up to you, whether you wanted to share that or if you wanted to sit on it.
Well, now you have to share it because
Yeah.
we don't know what you're talking about.
Well, he's already been called on it, so I think it's out. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I am pulling up my questions here. Not that I actually don't think I need them, but. It's a weird energy today. I mean, it's not bad. It's just it's a weird energy today. Welcome to Parables. I'm glad that you're here. You see what I mean? Like,
Thank you.
it's like a vacuum. I don't know what's happening. I am thrilled that this conversation is happening. This is Brescian Moore, and he has been helping us for several weeks with the months now. Yeah, with the tech. A lot of the improvements that we are experiencing are due to him, and we're very grateful for that. But this conversation is about more than that. But I just wanted to kind of help you put a name and a face together when you often don't see his face because he's in the back there. So we're glad that you are here. Let's start with where you grew up and talk a little bit about your childhood.
Okay, yeah. So, I'm Brescian Moore. I am the son of a former pastor here, John Moore. And so, grew up here in Las Cruces for, around 8 years, I think, until I was, around 11, 12. But I consider kind of my more formative years that I hearken back to a lot for who I am now as being in El Paso. Which I was, throughout my teens until I was like 18, 19. My father was a pastor over there, and so I grew up there. Went to youth there. A lot of my siblings joined my family there. I'm one of 9, the oldest of 9. So, a lot of kids, a lot of activity, a lot of fun.
So you know a little bit, some of you know a little bit about his family, but some of you don't know anything about it. So would you tell us a little bit more? You were here when your family was pastoring this church, and then you went to St. Mark's, right, in El Paso. So that's a lot of your growing up years, but then you just said a lot of your family joined.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Let's talk about how that worked.
Yeah. So when we were in El Paso, my family started doing the fostering program there, and so fostered quite a few children, and ended up adopting quite a few children through the Texas fostering system. And so when we first moved there, it was just me and my younger sister Beja, who was 5 years younger than me. But now there's fostered quite a few children, but in the end adopted 7 of them. And so My younger 7 were adopted through the foster system,
What's the age range from you to the youngest?
Age range, so let's see, I think it's, 15 years, right around, between me and the youngest couple. Jotham and Asa are the youngest 2, and they're right around 15 years younger than me.
How does it feel to be the oldest of that many siblings?
It's I don't know. I like being the oldest. There's some dangerous power to being the oldest. Unfortunately, it's 15 years, so I missed out on some of the most fun of being the oldest sibling.
Sure, you were out of the house.
Yeah.
Sooner.
I don't know. It's both fun and at times humbling and kind of scary, I would say, being that much older than a lot of them, because they look up to me, and a lot of times I don't feel worthy of that necessarily.
Right.
I'm kind of like, oh, I don't
It's
know.
responsibility.
Yeah, it's responsibility, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's something which I don't know. I struggle with that, kind of responsibility and having that kind of position, with people and around people. But I don't know. I love them all to death, and it's always amazing to hang out with them. Just had a couple of them spending a few nights with me last week.
Oh, that's cool.
And so before they started up school up in Cloudcroft.
Oh, that's
so,
great.
Yeah.
Those are times they will remember. That's
Oh
really
yeah.
cool.
We had a good time. Went and watched a movie. Played a lot of games and stuff like that. So.
That's really cool. So you've talked a little bit about the faith portion. Obviously, your dad is a pastor. So tell us a little bit about what has been formative for you. You mentioned that El Paso, those years were super formative, probably because of the youth group, but including this time as well in Las Cruces, if it applies. What has really shaped your faith?
So, I mean, being the son of a pastor, definitely, I mean, faith was an important part of my journey from pretty much day one. It was very nice having my father as my father, because any times I had questions about anything, he was always kind of willing and able to answer, and help me explore kind of hard topics and a lot of that stuff, which I am blessed. I was very blessed by that and continue to be, because a lot of kind of shaky moments in some of those formative years. I was able to have someone to talk them out, kind of hash out some of those questions. And both my father and my mother and my grandparents and everyone around me was pretty wonderful about helping me explore and helping me figure stuff out, and telling me some of what they believed, but also letting me kind of figure out what I believed.
That's great.
And that's something which I know a lot of people have struggled with, kind of growing up in the church, is they feel kind of locked into kind of one mode of thought. And I didn't really feel that way. If I was able to disagree, and sometimes those disagreements were of course, kind of angry or whatever, because growing up, that's I think part of what you do.
Yeah.
But at the end, I feel like I am stronger in my faith because of that, because of the disagreements and because of being able to shape kind of, or being shaped kind of by various people and various viewpoints.
That's great.
And then youth, was very formative for me. I mean, had a wonderful youth director at St. Mark's, Jachin Ford, who I look up to greatly and admire. And then was part of a wonderful campus ministry when I was in Dallas for a little while,
okay.
which was very good, and I got very good interaction with a lot of other college students.
So that's where you went to college?
Yeah, University of Texas at Dallas is where I went to college.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That was another question we had, but I do want to say that it's really great to have a parent and a pastor parent who allows for space.
Yeah.
Because there can be a lot of pressure that comes with being a pastor's family, right?
Oh, definitely.
And I don't know if you want to speak to any of that or not, but to be able to create space for the pastor's kids to explore and ask questions is sometimes tricky. So it really is a testament to them.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. Okay, so talk to us about college and your major and kind of your early adulthood years.
Okay, yeah. So I went to college at University of Texas at Dallas. It's funny because that ended up being kind of one of my, backup colleges that I applied to. Just like, I don't know, I can get in, why not? And they offered me kind of great, I got a great offer from them, and I went and checked out the campus, and it's a beautiful campus, and they have a very, very strong kind of like scientific undergraduate program, and a lot of very good history in that. And so when I first went to college, I was majoring in physics, but ended up after a semester deciding that the part of physics that I loved, which is a lot of it, but the part which I guess I most loved was the math part of it. So I ended up switching over to pure mathematics, which very much enjoyed it. I love math in many of its forms, but I do question that decision because I don't know. It's the expectations of a math degree aren't necessarily what I kind of feel like I want to do in the future. A lot of the expectations are like, one, you go into academics, either higher or into education. or you go into like research or something like that. And that's a lot of the expectation, at least, kind of around the mathematics major, both in school and out of school. And you know, I don't feel strongly that, you know, I want to go into teaching or anything like that. And I don't know, it's something which I struggle with and continue to, you know. And one of the biggest struggles for me was, you know, COVID hit right as I was in my junior year of college, and that really kind of threw me off the, I don't know, kind of my expected path and kind of my trajectory, and really kind of, you know, stopped me cold for a couple of years. And that's something which I'm still trying to, you know, navigate the after effects of that.
To figure out
see
what's
going.
next.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what do you do right now? What are your days like, other than helping us in more ways that I can really tell you? What else are your days?
Yeah, so
looking
at the
like?
moment, I'm working at a gas station.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up, you know, kind of just needing a job, and that's something that I was able to get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm looking for other stuff at the moment, and we'll see. I have hope, and there's some stuff hopefully on the horizon for me.
Yeah. You're at a place where transitions can happen, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
not
definitely.
just with where you are right now in like Las Cruces, but in your life.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
No,
like in your age.
Yeah.
Not that it makes it any less scary, but
Yeah.
you can take some time to say, okay, what is it that God is calling me to do, and
Yeah.
and what are those steps that I can follow?
Oh,
right?
definitely. And I have a firm foundation, which is good.
Right.
And that's something which a lot of people don't have. And so I'm blessed by that.
Yeah.
You know, I have some stability and control. And so, you know, I'm not, I don't know, forced necessarily into some paths, which a lot of people I know are and have been since COVID.
Yeah.
And a lot
You
of
can
people
take some
are.
time to think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but do you have some things that are really exciting to you to think about for the future?
That is another thing that I've struggled with a lot. I've never been much of a kind of a personal dreamer. You know, I've never really, I don't know, like there are so many things that I love, but like, you know, when I try to kind of form that into kind of a career trajectory or anything like that, I have trouble kind of, you know, I don't know, fitting it together and finding a work, you know, a plan or anything like that. And, you know, I don't know, at this point, I don't know what kind of my solution will be. But I'm hoping, and, you know, I think hope is a powerful thing.
Certainly.
And I don't know.
Our God is a God of revelation, right?
Yeah,
and you're working and you're doing things that are meaningful and help other people grow and connect. And I find that often when that happens, the next few steps present themselves, and they may not be what you thought they might be. And so I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
the faithfulness of contributing as you can and as you're called to, and then seeing what happens next. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of spiritual maturity in that, for sure. So I appreciate your candor in that. Let me make sure I don't have any other questions here before we open it up. Oh, well, yeah, I do want to talk about this. So you were here with your grandparents and your mom one Sunday,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
heard Stuart say, "I need help."
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
So you went to him right after that, and so tell us about how you got involved.
I mean, I mean, I've worked tech in churches before. At St. Mark's, I originally volunteered and then worked a little bit in the in kind of the sound booth as their, I forget what my job title was, but it was something like media supervisor. But basically, I was in charge of the tech booth, and I just made sure everything was working. And then a couple other times, I've also helped out and worked with churches for tech. And you know, yeah, I came and visited, and Stuart, you know, came up here and mentioned the need for some help with that stuff, and I was like, I don't know, that feels kind of like God. I don't know, you know, it's feels very coincidental that, you know, this is something I have some experience with, and have done some stuff with, and then, you know, Stuart mentions that, and I'm like, I don't know, let me just see, talk to him, see what I can do.
But it's a constant. I mean, you came in basically at the beginning of some changes that we needed to make, and all of those will improve things. But you also were able to see, you know, doing this could improve this, and doing this could improve this. And tech is one of those things that you all want it to work well, and you don't always know when it does work well, but you definitely know when it doesn't, right? And so part of your job is to make sure that they don't know when something isn't working, right? But so much of what Brescian has been able to do is making our worship in person and online better, because it's removing some barriers that you might not even know exist. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I've always enjoyed tech because it's I don't know, there's a mathiness to it. You know, it's a closed system. You know, it's a fairly simple system, but there's like a lot of like small components which you kind of gotta, you know, work through. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, a system design, I guess. But
It may be simple for you.
I guess simple, not synonymous with easy, but
Right.
simple
Correct.
as
That's a good
opposed to complex, I guess. Like
That's
many
a
moving
great
parts.
point. Yeah, simple is not easy necessarily.
There's 2 points that need to be made here. Point 1, he knows more than I do.
He knows more than Stuart does. Okay, point taken.
And point 2 is no is not in his vocabulary.
Yeah.
It is all possible to be done.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of which road of possibility are we going to go down to get it done.
Yeah, no is not in his vocabulary. That is actually not a small thing, because sometimes when you, like you all, I may think something like, okay, let's do this, and I'm thinking you push a button, and that's going to make that work, you know? And you're like, well, again, simple's not easy. It's actually, you're going to have to rewire something. We need a different app. We're going to have to move the hotspot around. I mean, like, it would be all kinds of different things that I have no idea, but you're thinking through that, right? So sometimes when you talk to people who have this knowledge, and you're a person like me who doesn't have that knowledge, you're like, I want to do this. And they're like, nope, can't be done. And I don't know any better, right? They tell me it can't be done, then I'm like, okay, it can't be done. But Brescian says, okay, you might not know how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, definitely. And for me, you know, a big part of tech, especially in this day and age, is a willingness to Google. I think that is not a small thing.
It's true.
And, you know, there's so much information out there. And, I mean, every church has tech of some sort, and most businesses have tech of some sort. So if you have something you want to do, chances are someone has done something similar. And chances are they've also had questions about it and concerns about it and problems with it, and so posted somewhere. And so, you know, it's all about, you know, trying to find some of those answers and then, you know, kind of reformatting it to fit kind of what we need.
Translating it in some ways,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
The beauty in this is that you are a curious person.
Yeah.
And curiosity is really important in faith and in tech. And this is how we learn. It's how we grow. You don't always get it right the first time.
Oh,
right?
definitely not.
Like
definitely not.
our clock is crooked right now.
Don't point it out. Don't point it out.
That's not his fault. It's because we got a new clock and the screws were formatted for the old clock. So we didn't have time to reset it, but it's working. I can tell what time it is, right?
It's an improvement. It's
It's
not perfect yet.
But we're going to have to go back. And I think it's a perfect example of some of the things that we're trying to do. Even the iPads out in the gathering space. Some of you may have been frustrated with that. Maybe they didn't work the way you wanted them to. That's all feedback that we can use to make it better, that he can use to make it better, right? Okay, let's open it up. We've got 10, 11 minutes. Pat.
I was here when Brescian was a little kid,
Uh-huh.
Asia, and Brescian scared the crap out of me.
Oh, yeah, let me repeat that. Pat is saying that Brescian, as a little kid, scared the crap out of her. I'm quoting her now. She's
He was an activist. He probably still is. I don't know him now. I'd like to get to know him now. But he was on us about using paper plates and styrofoam, and we couldn't use styrofoam. Man, he was running the show. And I was on the board at the time, and he made things hard.
Got it. He was an activist. I will let you speak to this, but she's saying he was an activist, and his concern at that point, at least one of them, was paper instead of styrofoam, right? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, I'm definitely strongly willed. I don't know. And, you know, feel pretty strongly about a lot of things. You know, definitely when I was young, I had trouble seeing, you know, I don't know, differences of view, I suppose, or possibilities. And I still am, strongly willed, but I think I have tempered it with, trying to understand, other people and situations and all that stuff.
Oh, that's
so.
great. I mean, some people never get there, so.
One more thing. I just saw a meme on Facebook the other day. This guy was all straggly. He was in the back of a restaurant washing dishes. And he was complaining. He said, I have a PhD in English Lit. And two other guys on either side of him said, so do we.
Doing dishes, saying I have a PhD in English Lit, so do we. Everybody has to wash dishes, right? Everybody has to wash dishes. Okay. Steve.
Christian, couple of things. First thing, we all had trouble figuring out how to pronounce your name. We do now. I mean, I think we learned how to do that. It's an interesting name. Can you give me a little background on
Okay.
where your name came from?
Let me repeat that for the people online. So he's asking about the name Brescian, and that is pronounced correctly, right?
Yes, ma'am, it is, yeah.
Brescian. And tell us about it.
All right, so my parents kind of basically just stumbled upon it. It doesn't have any family significance or anything like that. But the actual origin of the name, it's a Romani name. So Central, Southeastern Europe, and it means storm child. Which is probably at times more fitting than I wish it was. But yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I have found that kids either grow into their names or they're like the opposite. Like Olivia means peace. See, they get it. It's ironic. But sometimes Storm Child, you can live into that and you can say, well, that's my name, right? It's my name.
Yeah. Gives me an excuse.
The other would be, what did you find as a downside to being a PK?
Downside of being a PK.
Downside. Well, I've always been more comfortable kind of in the back, not having my face up front, not talking to the mic, but being, on the other side of the mic. And being a PK, a lot of times you don't necessarily have that option. A lot of people at the church will know who you are, even if you don't know who they are. A lot of people kind of may have expectations of you, or if I'm in a bad mood and I just want to kind of sit there on my own, people will be friendly, and I gotta, try to be friendly and all that stuff. And there's a lot of expectation, all growing up, so many people ask me so are you gonna be a pastor? Or, ask me about ministry and stuff, and, that's never been something that's really been on my plate. Again, I'm much more comfortable in the back. I'm not comfortable here in front of the mic, but I don't know.
He's doing pretty well, though, isn't he? Yeah. I'm not comfortable in front of the mic either. I'm not joking. The piece that we see on Sunday morning is just one part of pastoring, and it is important, and I take it seriously, and I've become more comfortable over the years, but it's just a piece. But I also think it's really great that you say, that's not my calling. That's not my calling. My calling is somewhere else, and that's really important to know, too. Anything else? Chrissy.
I met your dad and mom when they were college students, and so probably younger than you are right now. And it's really kind of fun to get to know you now after all these years of seeing you grow up. And it's fun to watch you when you speak, because sometimes I see Melanie and sometimes I see John. And it's really fun to see that.
That's cool insight, Christy. So Christy knew Brescian's parents when they were college students, and she's saying she can see mannerisms from each of them as he's talking. That's cool.
Your voice sounds just like your
Your voice sounds
Yeah.
So correct.
your voice sounds like your dad, they say.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure that's comforting. Anything else? Yes, Fern.
Did you ever feel like following your dad in playing the electric guitar?
Oh, did you ever feel like following your dad and playing the electric guitar?
Oh man, I was always more of an electric bass kind of guy. I didn't get very good at it, unfortunately, but I was the bass player. That was more my speed.
That's awesome. Anything else? Stuart.
I want to thank Marianne and Mike for encouraging Brescian to come to church that Sunday. There are a lot of bumps in the road in putting on church on many levels. Either we don't have enough pencils, or we don't have enough pens, or we don't have enough cards, or we don't have enough Bibles, or we don't have enough grape juice, or we don't have enough bread. Those are simple things to fix. But when it comes to you want to hear in service, in worship, whether it's here in the sanctuary or online, those bumps in the road are difficult to smooth out.
Yeah.
And in the, gosh, I cannot believe I'm about to say this, like 3 months that you've been helping us, you have smoothed out so much
Yeah.
and made so many things so much, not just easy, but better.
Right.
And one of the things that he improves that you need to tell your friends who don't come to church on Sunday, which is totally fine, they come to church either Sunday morning online or they come to church in the middle of the week. The one thing that Brishan does every single Sunday to try to improve is to make sure the online sounds as good as you hear it in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot thank you enough for everything. It's just amazing.
Stuart is saying he cannot thank you enough, and that is very true. It's very true. So many things are better because you are here, and that's what we want, right, of ourselves, to make things better when we are in a community. So you're already doing that, whether you know it or not. I guess now you do. So hopefully that's not too awkward for you.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And we are grateful to Mike and Mary Ann for lots of reasons. So, anything else? Any last word from you?
I don't think so.
Oh, one more from Steve.
It's almost like you're meant to be here.
It's almost like you're meant to be here. And on that note, I think that's true. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, come back next week. We'll continue the conversation.